Hello, I'm Pastor Lauren Richmond of East Denver Bible Baptist Church. Welcome to the broadcast, Lead Me to the Rock. We're talking about Portraits of Grace, dealing with Esther this week. And we read Esther 4:14. We're going to read it again tonight. We're going to make a little bit different comments there. We've pretty much covered this. We'll be preaching on it tomorrow, but I want to bring this out. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed, and who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? We know that Mordecai had worked in Esther's behalf, and Esther became the queen. She had been well raised, she had been taught. Now the Jews are facing this dilemma. This decree has gone out that they would all be killed on the 12th month and the 13th day of the month, and so they had a little bit of time to prepare. So Esther said, Mordecai said to Esther, you've got to go and tell the king. And she said, I can't just walk in there. He's got to hold up the scepter, or else I could be put to death. But she does agree to do it, but she says, before I do it, have the people fast for me. And 3 days, and then I will go and make this speech to the king. And so they all did that, and God granted that request. God gave her favor. She was able to go in and present herself before the king. And at that particular time, we know that Haman and his wickedness, plotting against Mordecai, plotting to have him put to death. We had seen earlier that Mordecai afterwards uncovered a plot to kill the king, and he gave it to Esther, and Esther gave the word to the king, and those that plotted the thing had been put to death. But nothing was done for Mordecai, but rather Haman was promoted. Now that seemed a little bit strange, but it's all part of God's plan, his timing. God put Haman, who was a wicked man, into a position where he could hurt himself, as God moved on Mordecai and Esther and the Jews' welfare. And we'll see how this happens. We don't exactly understand why it goes this way, but Mordecai didn't try to exalt himself. He didn't try to lift himself up. He just continued to do the right thing. And eventually Haman has the thought that he'd like to ask for Mordecai to be put to death, to be hung on the gallows. But that particular night, the king cannot sleep. And so he lays down and he gets up and he has the chronicles brought to him. And he uncovers that what Mordecai had done for him, and then the thought was, well, what was done for this man who uncovered this plot? And they said nothing. So the next morning, when Haman comes in to present his wicked plan to have Mordecai put to death, the king asked Haman what should be done to the man who the king delighteth to honor. And of course, Haman could think of no one but himself that should be honored. So he said, well, someone should come and take him and parade him down the street on this horse and just give him great honor. And so the king says, okay, Haman, you do that. You carry, we'll put Mordecai on this horse and you take him in front of the people and make that proclamation. Of course, that was horrible to Haman, and we know eventually what happened after that. How Haman came before the king and at the banquet which Esther had planned. And then Esther told the king the wicked plot, and Haman was eventually put to death and hung on the gallows, which he had planned to use for Mordecai. So God was good. God heard the prayer of the people. God moved on his time frame, and God blessed in a wonderful way. Just like we don't always see God working, but we can be assured of this. He's behind the scenes. He's working, and he's ready to come with his grace and his mercy just about the time we need it. God bless you, and have a wonderful night.